What comes to my mind also is, you talk about the poverty there in Africa that you experienced, and I see the same thing here in
Mhm.
Thailand. And of course, they're very much Buddhist for the most part. And what amazes me here is, I see people, for instance, if I'm driving, there's always children or
Mhm.
teenagers at the lights
Mhm.
selling flowers, selling cookies, and so forth. In the United States, if we saw that happen, immediately, what's our thought?
It's strange, I guess.
Yeah, and yet here it's just here's people that are living in what we would call poverty, and yet
Uh-huh.
they're out there, as you say, just trying to get food, trying to make a little bit of money. And
That's
I
right.
think here the average income is probably, if they're lucky to live on $400, $300, $400 a month, they're
Mhm.
very fortunate.
Mhm.
It amazes me how we look at the United States
Mhm.
and see the poverty, but even moving up that scale to where you have people that are definitely not impoverished, but they
Mhm.
think they are, and they complain that they
Mhm.
are. What,
Mhm.
how do we change that mentality? How do we change that culture to help people understand that, whatever our circumstances,
Mhm.
and in your case, you grew up in poverty and yet you have been
Mhm.
able to break through on that. How do we
Mhm.
help people to develop that sense of gratitude that where they are in their life, number one, there needs to be gratitude for that and
Mhm.
appreciation, and then also recognizing that potentially they can do something about it.
Mhm. Oh, that's a good question. And that's something I think a lot about my experience, and I am still trying to figure out like the to your point, like the best way to translate those principles um for someone to someone that hasn't lived it. So that's
Yeah.
where it's really hard. Because it's like I just a few example here is like I last year I went with my board members for my organization, and they're from Hawaii. They've been great help to Elevate and all the nonprofit work we do. And we've talked about a lot of things. We had a lot of chat about poverty and culture and challenges, and they have their own experiences in Hawaii and stuff. But there's also so much that was such an eye opener when they went by themselves. And I've questioned that. I was like, is the answer that people need to go and see? But how can they still have live those values without seeing? Like I keep debating that myself. So all to say, like I don't have a great answer, but I could share some insight. But to your point, when I came here, it was interesting. That was the first thing that I have observed. I remember I was giving a campus tour, and they we saw a parking lot, and I made the comment that my goodness, there's a lot of professors here, and they were like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, well, I mean, there's a lot of cars. I would assume only professors can afford cars. They were like, oh no, this is student parking.